Welcome to Guac Gaming. Guac King here to talk about Call to Arms on Red Dead Online. Call to Arms is basically a survival game mode with 10 waves, and they can get pretty tough. So we've come up with 8 tips that'll make your Call to Arms matches run a lot smoother. If you find this video helpful, drop me a like and subscribe as that really helps grow the channel. Alright, number 1, let's talk about weapon loadout. Whatever you have on you when you jump into the match is what you're going to have for that match. And there are weapons all across each location, so if you do accidentally take your varmint rifle in, don't worry, you're not completely screwed. But the best thing you can do is to roll in with your weapons, because if you pick up the weapons that you can find, they're not upgraded the same way your weapons are. Now the first thing you're going to want to consider is that you're going to go up against enemies that are coming from pretty far away. So a Carcano rifle is a must. And because you're going to be taking on a lot of enemies, you're going to be going through a lot of ammo. So you don't want to go Carcano rifle and the bolt action because they use the same ammo. So you're going to want to go with whatever your favorite repeater is. I'd recommend the Lancaster if you have one. As far as your sidearms, you could go with either revolvers or pistols, whatever you're most comfortable with. But I wouldn't go with the sawn-offs, which kind of kills me to say because I love using shotguns. Okay, number 2, fill your ammo before you go in. Now there are some ammo boxes at each location that you can hit up and get yourself a little reload, but as the time between waves shortens more and more, these are going to be harder and harder to get to. So you're best off going into the match fully loaded. Alright, number 3, make sure you bring with you some big game meat and tonics. Your cores and life bars all reset once you start the match, so if you've just had some special crypt stew and followed that up with some special strong moonshine, then none of that'll matter once you actually get into the match. So make sure you're loaded up on minty big game meat and as many tonics as you can bring with you, because this is a long battle and things can get pretty tense in the higher waves. And don't make the same mistake I did. I ran out of tonics and started using moonshine and ended up getting myself drunk on top of a roof surrounded by enemies, and that didn't turn out too well for me. Okay, number 4, don't sleep on the NPCs. Before the match starts, you're going to see a bunch of NPCs standing out in the open, and if you leave them there, they're probably going to be dead around wave 5. Now you're likely to lose all the NPCs anyway, but if you take the time to move them behind cover, then they'll last a lot longer. And them lasting a lot longer does make things easier for you. Now if you're in a lobby with 4 players, then you're not likely to need them as much as you would if you were going solo or with just another person. But either way, the more helpful they are, the better it'll be for you. Now one more note on these guys, you'll know which ones still need to be moved because there'll be yellow dots on the map. And if you notice that where you could bring them is above ground level, then those are absolutely the better spots for them to be in. And I've actually seen them last through wave 10. And you'll know you've got them all moved when the match starts automatically. Tip number 5, take the high ground. Every location has some rooftops that you could get to, and taking the high ground has a few advantages. First of all, the machete guys have a harder time getting to you, and I've even seen them sort of glitching out on the edge of the map and up against walls. I guess because the programming doesn't know how to get to you, so they don't know what to do. And another advantage to taking the high ground is, of course, you can see more enemies. This can be a bit of a double-edged sword because it also means more enemies can see you, but just remember to bounce back and forth between both sides of the roof to allow yourself to get some cover. Number 6. Wave 7 is the turning point where enemies begin to really get tougher. After you get through the first 6 waves, you might be thinking to yourself, wow, that was pretty easy. But wave 7 is where you'll see your first war wagon. And if you're caught exposed, then it might take you out. So in the cooldown between wave 6 and 7, that's usually where I'm popping my big game meat and tonics, just to be ready for the onslaught that's coming. Also, this is a good point in the match to go ahead and switch your ammo from regular to express, just to make sure you're packing a punch on these tougher enemies. Tip number 7, healing NPCs. While your NPCs are still alive, in between waves, you can actually heal them. And you'll know which ones need to be healed because they'll be yellow on the scanner. It's worthwhile to do it because if you could get them to last an extra wave or 2, then they'll be useful to you for an extra wave or 2. Alright, tip number 8, be aware of the special enemy units. There are some special enemy units that you'll run into at every location, like the machete, sniper, armored unit or juggernaut, and the war wagon. If you've taken some high ground, then the machete units may not be able to get to you, but every once in a while one can sneak up on you, so you gotta watch out for them because they could do some damage. Snipers are the exact opposite. They're gonna keep some distance. You'll know when a sniper's trained on you because you'll hear your heartbeat and your controller will vibrate just slightly. And you'll know when you see a sniper because if you're looking through your scope, you'll see the gleam in their scope. These guys can be a real big nuisance if you're on the high ground, so try to learn where they're coming from and take them out as fast as you can. The armored units, or juggernauts as we call them, use a shotgun. So if you're in the high ground, they're not too much of a pain. The biggest thing to worry about with these guys is while you're focused on them, enemies typically start building up around you. So you have to try to find a balance between going after juggernauts and taking out the regular NPCs as well. The fastest way to take them down is to combine the ability cards Winning Streak, Sharpshooter, and Peak Condition with Express Ammo. That combo with the Carcano rifle will take an armored unit down in 6 shots. That's important because the Carcano rifle has 6 shots in its clip, so you can eliminate one of these armored units without having to reload, and that's going to save precious time in the later waves. The war wagons might be the scariest of the special units that exist at every location because they can roll up on you quick and then start lighting you up. They're really not that tough to deal with though. As soon as you see them pop up on the scanner, make sure you've got out your Carcano rifle and just aim for the gunner. Oftentimes you could get the gunner while they're trying to roll in or while they're aggroed onto somebody else. And once you take the gunner out, that's a done data for them. Nobody else will climb into the wagon and take it over. And if sniping's not an option for you, we've had a lot of success with Paint It Black. You can't see very much of the gunner other than his head, so whatever you mark with Paint It Black is likely to take the gunner out. And once the gunner's down, the war wagon's downgraded to just, well, wagon. Now there's a couple special enemy units that only exist at specific locations. So for instance, McFarland's Ranch has a train that'll roll through. And it might just be the position we took, but I've never had an issue with this train, other than NPCs will get stuck on it and you have to run out and take them out. So that special unit's not too much of an issue. Now at Fort Mercer, the special unit is a cannon operator. These guys can do some damage. So whatever position you've taken at Fort Mercer, figure out where the cannons are and keep an eye on them. There's usually 2 NPCs that run over to them, so when you take the first one out, there's almost always a second one waiting in the wing. And they're the 2 most important NPCs to take out because those cannons can ruin your plans quick. Alright, those are the 8 tips that we have to help your call to arms run more smoothly. If you thought this video was helpful, consider buying me a coffee. And like and subscribe for more Red Dead Online content. Next time you bring the chips, because I got the guac.